Everybody ready? Come on, let's go.
The Rick Thorne Show! Let's go! The Rick Thorne Show! Let's go!
Yo, what's up? Hey, welcome to the show. It's Rick Thorne. It's my show. You know, the thing I don't like on that intro is it says legend.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that means you're dead.
Yeah, you're not dead. I'm
No.
seeing you right now.
Yeah, I'm right here. So we got to take that part out, bro. What's going on?
I
Myth?
kind of like it. You
I
know?
kind of do. Yeah, that's what it is. Man, the myth, the legend.
I mean,
Yeah,
dude,
man, the myth, the legend. Today is
Yeah.
Ryan Seaman. What's
Oh,
up, dude? What are you
Thank
doing?
you so much for having me, man. Yeah, I'm really glad to be here. You were on a show that I had a minute ago, I guess. Called
Yeah.
Ryan Seaman and Friends.
But
and,
we've been friends for a long
I
time.
know. I've known you for over 20 years now, at least.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, for sure.
Going back to like the early like Warped Tour days, man.
Okay,
you know,
wait,
like
let's start it off
2002.
right now. Let's
Yeah,
talk
okay.
about this.
Yeah.
We met 2002 Warped Tour,
Mhm.
and you were touring with Eyeliners?
That's right.
Yep. Yep. So what was that band? What was that like?
Man, you know, it was really crazy because when I was in high school, you know, I looked up to like, I mean, I started going to Warped Tour in like '97.
Got
so I saw you riding bikes and, you know, doing crazy tricks and stuff because I'm from Utah. So when I was going to shows and everything like that, that's always what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in bands. And so they had found me because I was in like a local punk rock band in Utah called the Teen Tragedies. And
Oh, wow.
we were that band that basically were opening up for like every punk band that would come through. You know, we were the band that were selling tickets in our hometown. And so I met the Eyeliners, you know, in 2000. I met them in 2001, and then I kept in touch with them.
Where were they from?
They were from Albuquerque, New
Okay,
Mexico. So
all right.
I first met them when my band was opening up for them and a band called Tsunami Bomb.
Oh, I know that band.
Yeah. And so
That's another. So many Warped Tour bands.
dude, I know.
Dude, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
we could have a whole podcast episode just about
Like
that.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So I remember I was on a tour, like a self-booked tour, and we went through Albuquerque, and I'd hit them up being like, hey, come out to the show, you know. And so they came out, they watched me play. And then after that tour, I'd quit that band. So I was in the band for like 2.5 years, you know. And then I wrote them a nice email just saying, hey, like, thanks for coming out to the show. You know, my life's going in a different direction. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. But anytime you guys come to Salt Lake, like, let's hang out. You know, just thanking them for coming. And then they wrote me back saying, like, hey, you know, so our sister Laura, because Laura was like, she was the drummer and front person of the band, right?
Right.
So, but they wanted to actually move her to the front, and they wanted to just have like a drummer just be like in the shadows, but like showcasing the three of them, you know?
Right.
So they hit me up saying like, hey, you know, Laura's gonna go to the front, and we want to try out like a drummer. Like, would you be interested in trying out? And I was like, absolutely. And I was still in high school at this time, you know? So
What grade?
I was a senior in high school.
Okay.
So when they saw me like touring, I had the month off of February for the Olympics because the Olympics came to Salt Lake City.
Got it.
I got the tour. So the band I was in, we planned our touring schedules around my school because I was at the time I was 17, and then the band I was in, they were all like 24, 25. You know.
Okay, so you were the pup.
Yeah, I was the pup, but I mean,
Yeah.
there weren't like. You know, because I'm from Park City, Utah. That's where I grew up, basically, like middle school and high school. And
That's a big like ski.
yeah,
yeah.
ski and snowboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like there weren't a lot of people to like jam with up there.
That's what I was gonna
know?
ask you. What was the scene like back then?
Salt Lake was really great, man. I mean, like in my school, I didn't really identify with a lot of people, and so you know, once I
Because
started,
it was smaller.
Sure.
Yeah.
yeah, there weren't a lot of people like me, and
Got
so
it.
you know, going to like things like Warped Tour, like kind of opened up my eyes to everything, and then I learned about like local punk scenes and stuff, you know. So I was
Wow.
like, what is this? And so I started going to shows, and that's how I made like a good majority of my friends, you know.
So you think Warped Tour helped you get more into punk rock, or were you kind of already into it?
Absolutely.
Because it was already on the radio with like, you know, if you say Green Day and
Of course,
Offspring,
yeah,
that,
Green
that'd
Day
been
was-
around for a little bit.
Green Day was the band that kind of paved it for me.
Yeah.
So like I was probably like 10 or 11 years old when I found them, you know. So like Dookie, just like everybody else like my age found them, you know.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
like them and Offspring and you know Nirvana.
You know what's weird about all that too is hold the thought is like
Yeah.
when I grew up, punk rock had already gotten on TV.
Right.
And it was the Clash and the Ramones.
Right.
And that was like early MTV days, like
Mhm.
Rock the Casbah, Rock and Roll High
Yeah,
School.
totally.
And then it kind of went away.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came back in like 94, 95.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's right when Warped Tour started in 95.
Right.
So there was this movement of like wow, punk rock and a tour to go with it.
Yeah, dude.
So for you in a
So
small
cool.
town to see that, you'd be like, that's where I want. That's where I need to go.
That's right.
Yeah. A lot of people thought that. I
It
think.
was a lot of, it was like where all the outcasts could get together.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
it was affordable. Jeez.
Yeah, it was maybe like, I don't know, $20 back
20,
then.
$30. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
To go
crazy.
see all the bands, and then you had like the vert ramps and the
How did you get
BMXing.
exposed to that tour? Because if that helped you catapult you into like, oh, I'm going to go there and meet people and I'm a musician. How did you even know about the tour? Just
I mean,
kinda,
I was like 13 when I found out about it, maybe 12 or 13 years old. But I just saw like flyers around, and MTV was a big part of it as well.
yeah, because this is before all you kids listening, before like Instagram
Yeah.
was big and TikTok and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I started going to shows like that summer. That was what opened everything for me. But some of the first bands I got into were like, So once I got into Green Day, my mom's best friend from high school, she had a kid,
Right.
Chris.
Right.
And so I would go over to Chris's house, and he was like, I don't know, he's like 6 or 7 years older than me. This is actually a really good story. So he saw that I was wearing like a Green Day shirt. He's like, oh, dude, you got to check out Rancid. Oh, yeah, okay. you got to check out like Rancid and Offspring and Weezer and like all these bands. And I was just like, wow, okay. So I went home and I kind of did my homework, and then I was like, what's Epitaph Records? What's Fat Records? What's Hopeless? So I started getting into like this whole thing.
Yep.
And then the next summer it was like, oh my God, the Warped Tour is coming to my town. I have to go.
It's calling, bro.
Yeah. So
When did you start playing drums?
I was like 9.
So that's been your main
Yeah,
instrument. your
yeah.
whole
I mean,
time.
I started playing bass when I was 11 too. So I've been just dabbling with with different kind of instruments over the years.
I mean, you
But,
kind of do that anyhow, right? But like as far as like drums is your main
Oh
thing.
yeah. Drums was absolutely my main thing.
So then before to take it there, because I want people to know about you,
Yeah.
is like so before punk rock and drumming,
Mhm.
what was your influences for drumming before that as a kid?
So
Stuff on the radio, maybe.
I would honestly, it was a lot of Beatles.
Was it?
So
Yeah.
my parents got me into Ringo Starr and just the whole Beatles discography. But my parents and I, we'd watch like A Hard Day's Night and like Help and
Oh, so that would be like
Yellow Submarine, all the things. So they really got me into that, and I think Green Day was like the first thing I got into on my own. I went to the record store with my dad, and I saw this like cartoon. It said like Green Day on it. It said Dookie, and there's like all this like chaos happening. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah,
I had no idea what it was. I literally didn't. And so they had, remember when they had listening booths
Yeah.
at like CD Warehouse or Blockbuster Music or whatever the hell people would go to find things. But they had a listening station. And I heard it, and I was like, wow, this kind of sounds like a faster, edgier Beatles, for lack of a better term. And
Do
so
you have that time?
yeah, sure. So I really got into that, and that just honestly that paved the way for everything. And then there was like compilations too. There was like Punkorama and like fat music for fat people. And then one that really changed my life was there was one called Short Music for Short People. Do you remember that one?
No, who was that one?
That was a Fat Records release. It was 100 bands.
Short people.
Yeah, it was
Fat Mike.
yeah.
That's so
It was 100 bands doing 30-second songs.
Oh wait, I do remember
that?
one. I just don't remember that title.
Yeah, and the cover was like very much like Mars Attacks esque.
Right.
So there's like aliens and like like a hot
I remember
chick
that. I
dancing and,
remember
like,
now you say that. I remember. I can see it in my.
Yeah, it was
head.
It was like a cartoon, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, that got me into everything too, and I was like, what is this? What
crazy.
what is Good Riddance? What is Pennywise?
Well, you
What
start to
is-
go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Well, not really rabbit hole, but you start to go like.
Of course.
The way that we did it, or the way that I
You
did
read
it.
booklets. You read like like the thank yous or like who's this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this guy was in this band and I was in that band.
Yeah.
But wait, and this girl's in this band. We used to get maximum rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
That's the way we did it before like the internet, before
Right.
like no radio, before no TV.
Yeah.
And you would read the record sleeves.
Yeah.
Like, I was a really big DC fan. So
Okay.
like Minor Threat and all that stuff, right? You'd be like, and you see like this, wait a second. So Fugazi is like half a Right to Spring? Wait a second. And you start to like piece this
Yeah.
together,
Totally.
That's how we had to do it. So it sounds like you kind of did it in a similar way. Because you got
Totally.
into it before it was like really like the age that we are now, where everything's just
Yeah.
accessible to you. You could like Google whatever, or
For
ask
sure.
Siri, and she'll be like, "Oh, Ian McKay, he started a band in D.C. and blah
Yeah.
blah blah." You know what I mean?
Right. Totally.
So you had to like do your homework. You had to be in a small town.
Oh yeah. Big
So
time.
so when you went to Warped Tour after, being a small town, playing the drums, getting involved, getting hyped, all
Yeah.
this, you feel this energy's happening.
Yeah.
What was your first experience as Warped Tour? I don't want to make this whole interview
Oh, no,
about
no,
Warped
it
Tour,
was-
but that's
no, it
kind
was-
of
I mean,
how our connection
Yeah,
is.
that's how like almost everything has happened for me. you know,
Yeah.
just in my entire life. But I mean, I went going like, okay, I'm gonna like the bands I really wanted to see in my town that day. It was like the Mighty Boss Tones
Yep.
and Face to Face.
Yep.
And Real Big Fish were there, and I loved that band, and they were really heavily played on MTV at that point. And
you said 97 was the first one?
97, yeah.
Okay.
So like a little band called Blink-182 was on the side stage.
Yep.
And Descendants were there, and then this like weird guy with like a one of those like furry hats, and they called that band Limp Bizkit. You know, they were on the tour too.
Yep, yep.
Sick of It All was there. I mean, dude, I learned so much that summer, and it was so rad.
So
I
you didn't
never
know
wanted
any
to-
of those, a lot of those bands?
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think that day I learned what Descendants were, and I was like, holy shit, this is really great.
Yeah.
You know? And like, I'm like, this is what I've been missing. And so then like you get like flyers for like local shows. I'm like, well, what's this band? Oh, this is like right in my backyard. Got to go to this.
Yeah.
I'd be like begging my parents to go to shows. You know.
That's
Like,
so,
all
dude,
the
and
time.
those years were rad because
Yeah.
that's back when punk rock was like still not so much like everyone was punk rock. Like when
Yeah.
I grew up, it was like Misfits was punk rock, Minor
Yeah.
Threat was punk rock,
Mhm.
Black Flag was punk. It was all punk rock.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you said like the Descendants,
Mhm.
right? They
Yeah.
were like the first guys I think to be kind of like melodic
Totally.
punk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so that had to like really blow your mind of like,
Oh,
because you were
yeah.
still like, there wasn't like one, because then over time, the music kind of became like a lot of bands started to kind of follow a pattern of success.
Mhm.
That was right on the brink of it.
Right.
You know, once Blink hit, then a lot of bands followed suit, kind of
Yeah, it's
Blinkish a little bit.
It's
maybe.
crazy, man. Like, so when I was doing my podcast, real quick, another side tangent of how we got to you and I
It's all
got to
good.
meet.
It's all good.
But I just remember like people bring it. Like I was bringing on the show. It was like, what was the band that like did it for you? Like, what was the band? A lot of my guests, man, like that were just a little bit younger than me. They all said Blink-182, and I couldn't believe it. You
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
I think they
Why
said
why
that-
not? Why couldn't you believe it?
Well, because like they're, you know, I'm not talking trash at all, but I just, you know, at the time I thought there were so many other bands that were like doing it better, you know.
Oh yeah, you know,
And-
I could I could agree
Yeah.
with it to a degree to that.
But what
But
I
I'm
really-
older too, so for me
Sure.
when it came out, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, for sure. But what I was gonna say is I think what really changed the game for that band was when Travis Barker started drumming for him.
Absolutely.
You know, he brought in an element that they didn't have because like Blink was just like any other SoCal punk rock. You know, they're a little sloppy, and you know they had, you know,
And they're fun guys. They're great guys.
No, totally cool.
But
I was
Travis
just- yeah.
complimented
But
because
he-
the
yeah.
older drummer he was completely opposite.
Yeah, Scott was really good for their era of time too.
He was
you
great.
know?
He was great.
Yeah.
But Travis brought like an energy of like just Travis doesn't have to say anything. He's interesting.
Right.
You know, you
Yeah.
see him and he's like but his skill too.
Right.
His drumming skills.
And
pretty,
like, yeah, so I saw Blink a handful of times, you know, and I remember I saw them right before Travis had joined because like the Aquabats were like he was playing drums for the
Yep.
Aquabats, and they, you know,
and in '97 on Warped Tour,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure because I met Travis back then. He might have been on the Warped Tour with the Aquabats in
Yeah.
'97 when
Wow.
when that first year you went.
So maybe I must have missed them
Because
at
he
that point.
got him Blink. I don't know if they were on that because you know a lot of bands changed. They didn't.
I think it was '98, and I'll never forget because I was.
He
really,
got in the band in '98, right?
Yeah, I was. So like back to MTV, there's another band I got super heavily into called MxPx,
Yeah.
and I saw them. There was this. Do you remember this show on MTV called Oddville? Do you remember that?
I don't.
It was like a weird showcasey show of people doing like weird things. It was almost like a circus show, but then at the end they would have like an up and coming like punk band play.
Right.
You know, it's like Real Big Fish was on there, MxPx was on there, and I was like, this band's really cool. So like I went to the '98 Warped Tour, and I remember MxPx being like, thank you guys so much. We're gonna come back with Blink-182 this fall. I'm like, oh my god! And so then like they came back with Blink, and Travis was playing drums.
Oh yeah, Travis is
You
a
know?
beast. Yeah.
And that blew my mind too because I was like, oh my god, this guy was just in the Aquabats, who I really loved as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he brings just like such an energy. So yeah, Travis Barker is like a big influence of mine as well.
He is.
you
He is.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Travis is great. I mean,
So.
I've known him for a very long time.
Like I would say that him.
And all the Blink guys are great.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to discredit any of their success.
Sure.
Or what they're doing.
I would
You
say
know.
like Travis Barker and Trey Cool and Dave Grohl
Those are your influences.
and and I was gonna say another one, Derek Grant. I don't know if you know him, but
Who's that?
he was an Alkaline Trio. But before that, he was in that band, the Suicide Machines.
oh, I know that band.
And there was this album he was on called Destruction by Definition. And that record just like changed my life. All of it, just all the drumming, and I think he was like under 20 when he was doing it. I was like, man, I got a lot to work up to.
So you were stoked. What about Phil Collins, bro? Dun, 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 dun. That's crazy. Yeah, dude. That's so to back
wait,
up. So
really,
these kids.
Yeah,
Okay,
really
go.
quick. So I want to go back to like the Eyeliners real quick. So like
do it,
I
do
spent
it.
all this time like being in like punk bands in Salt Lake City, going to shows, meeting people, and just being heavily involved in like my scene. Like I worked for like a promotion company out there too, so I'd like hand out flyers so people would hear about more. I just wanted to be involved, you know. And as soon as the Eyeliners like had found me, I flew out to New Mexico on my own dime to try out for them. I was like maybe 3 months away from graduating high school, and so at that point I was like, man, like my school put in your brain that like if you didn't go to college, like you were. Can I swear on the show? Of
course.
Okay, if you didn't go to college, you were a fucking loser.
Oh yeah.
And that's how they tried to like engrave it in your brain. So
they still do. I have kids.
Sure.
They're still trying to do that. To
Yeah.
Like,
And it's like I'm so happy that my path went the way it went.
Good.
So I went down to New Mexico. I tried out for the band. I was so nervous. Because they were like girls that were like have been doing this for a while. Yeah. And they were like at a place that like I wanted to be at. And I just had and at that point
what were the girls' names again in that band?
Lisa, Jell, and Laura.
I feel like I interviewed them for ESPN at some point.
You might have.
For my radio show that I used to have with them. I feel like I did. I got to do my research.
But I mean, like, man, they really paved the way for me, So like I went down to New Mexico. I tried out for them. I had to play a show with them, and so we opened up for Lisa Loeb.
Oh shit!
That was my first. That was my first
cool.
show, and it was like a free like college event or something down in New Mexico. And then after the show, they took me across the street to this place called the Frontier. I really love that place. If you're in Albuquerque, New Mexico,
what is it? Mexican food?
No, it's like a diner.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sit down diner, and you have to go to the counter and like order and crap, and they bring. Yeah. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But I remember they were sitting me down there, and they were like, Ryan, like, we want you to come on tour, and I didn't know what they were gonna like what they were doing next. But in April, they were like, hey, so we're gonna go on tour, and I'm thinking, okay, cool, I get to go on tour with these girls. Like, this is awesome. They're showing me the ropes, But then they were like, we are gonna go on Warped Tour, and at that moment, my brain exploded. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, really? And then.
So how many years was that from when you went to your first Warped Tour to this to where that?
5 years? Yeah.
Wow.
I can do math, right? I'm a drummer. I can count.
Because everybody, right? Because everybody, you can 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
But you, everybody wanted to do that tour.
Yeah.
Because they knew like the connections you could make and the vibe it was.
Well,
that was
also
like
for
the
me,
salt
it was
after.
like, dude, all the bands that I learned that were going to be on that summer, like, I loved every one of them. So, like, it was just like a giant playground for me.
It was for me too, though, in a weird way.
Right.
I could say the same thing. Because
Yeah.
when I did my first Warped Tour in '96,
Okay.
we had done riding briefly, like it was nothing. Riding wasn't nothing. This was always like, whoa, this is what I want to do. And I was the same way. I'm like, dude, I love all these bands. And I can ride my bike while they're playing. What? So I know
sick.
the energy you had.
Yeah,
it was like, what?
Dude, and I used to snowboard, and then I stopped as soon as like I got the gig with the Eyeliners because I was like, oh, if I break a wrist or something, like I'm
a lot of people do that as musicians. They quit skating and riding and stuff.
Yeah, but what I'm so jealous of now is that ever since like not the iPod, but like iPhones, you can like plug it into your phone. Like now you can go like snowboarding, and like it doesn't skip when you like go off jumps.
Exactly.
So I used to do that in high school. I had the little like CD. The Walkman or whatever.
Mini
No, I had
player?
like an actual. No, like an actual.
Oh, you had an actual.
Like the skip protection, and I'd
Bro,
go off
that's
jumps.
huge,
and still,
too.
Dude. But
Where'd you put that there? It's like this big.
yeah, but I put it in my pocket, man, because back then it was like big pants. You're going down the.
That's awesome.
Going down the slopes.
Oh yeah, that was like the Jinko pants days.
Yeah, and like I got a season pass because I lived in Park City, but I got a season pass because I was working at the ski resort. And I think back then, if you worked at the ski resort, you could like go for free. It was like $100 or something like that.
Got it.
So
yeah,
but I'd be snowboarding and like listening to like those compilations and just
skipping and shit.
Yeah, pretending I'm fucking Rick Thorne or Tony Hawk
Sean
or
White
some
out
shit.
there.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
so
Sean
check
White, yeah,
this out.
even better.
The reason why it worked out for you, and you say, oh well, in your town, if you don't go to college, you're not going to be shit and all that, is the internet changed the game for that for a lot of people. Okay, because now people making, it's a different world than what we were conditioned to think.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why it worked out for you is because you love what you do. And I tell my kids that, like, if you love something, it's going to work. If you think you just go to college, let me ask your opinion. You go to college, you get your degree, and then I've seen people in music do this. They think, oh, I got a degree, now I should join these big bands, and all of a sudden, since I got a degree at MI, I'm going to get. No, you still have your challenges. You still have to hustle. You still have to do. You still have to be likable. You still have to be approachable. You still have to. If you love it,
Right.
If you're doing it because you think that's what you're supposed to do, and I'm not telling anybody out there don't go to college and do your thing. Do your thing, whatever
Right.
works for you.
It's a tool.
But
you know?
but as an artist, the arts are so important too, and so are the sports. That feeling you have is you can't put a price on it, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Like that, and that's why it works out because you love to play, you love to perform, and that's why you're still doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I mean? It's not like if you went
Yeah.
to school and you would have became something, but you didn't really like it and you lost your job. You're like, I know what I'm doing now. I didn't really like doing that
Right.
anyways. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, for
Did
me,
I make
it's-
any sense?
No,
now?
of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, what I was going to say to further that is that once I got the opportunity to go out on the Warped Tour that summer, I found out multiple things during that meeting. They were like, "Yeah, we want you to come on tour." I'm like, "This is awesome, great." And then they're like, "Okay." Then another piece of the puzzle, like, because then I'm not even thinking about this, but then they're like, "We're going to be in a tour bus." I was like, "Whoa." Like I get to be in
you
a
were
tour bus?
hyped, bro.
I was still in high school hearing this stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna be a tour bus, and then they're like, oh, and we're sharing a bus with Flogging Molly, and I was like, man, my mind just exploded, you know. So I'm 18. So I go back to
Dude,
like,
you
my
were
school.
hyped, bro.
So hyped. I didn't care about anything anymore.
You went back to school like you guys ain't shit.
I went back to school thinking like, I'm like, I don't have to go to college.
I'm gonna be on a tour bus, bitches.
Yeah, I'm like, everything's figured out. You know, I never have to do anything again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but no, and then after I went on that tour, I mean, like, dude, I met you. I met like so many like people, like, because you're trapped with these people for like
It's pretty
2
cool.
months,
It's a pretty
you
cool
know?
vibe. How many years did you do Warped Tour?
I've done not like the whole things, but if you like calculate it all together, I've done 10 Warped Tours. So like, okay, another person I looked up to when I was a kid was Josh Freeze. I found out about him
Dude, the beast.
when I was like 16 or 17, right? And I was like, that is so cool. Because in my town, again, I was playing for a bunch of different bands. In my town, I was like, oh, like this Josh Freeze guy, he does this too, but just on a very, very large scale. And I thought that was really awesome.
But
because
what
I
you're
always-
saying by being in multiple bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was so cool because I thought that, you know, you could progress on your instrument, you expand your mind, you get to meet really cool people that might challenge you.
And
know?
I used to say this as drummer because I sing, right?
Yeah.
So as a singer, it's different,
Sure.
right? I
Yep.
would say this to dudes. I'd be like, yeah, but I can't just go join another band because people would be like, oh, that's homie's voice, unless I change my voice
Sure.
completely. But as a drummer or bass or guitar, unless you're like Eddie Van Halen,
Right.
right? Then you. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like some people could go to different bands,
Right.
and it's easier rather than a singer.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely valid. You know, and then
Unless
like,
you're Phil Collins.
and as a drummer too, you might encounter people that I'm like, hey, like, why don't you want to just drum for my band, man? And like, you know, and it's just, I think being a drummer though, it's such a powerful skill. to
Yeah, but
have,
you're
you know?
driving. You're the one
driving.
steering the whole shit.
You're right.
Your tempo and everything. You're
Yeah.
the one that's kind of more in
That's right.
control than people think.
But I also feel like
Don't
the
you think
more-
so as a
Yeah,
drummer? You're like
100%.
owning
But
it.
I think just like as a musician too, I feel like the more people you play with, the better you get. at your
What about
instrument.
doing covers
Yeah,
on your
especially-
own? Even just learning other people's stuff. You think that helps you?
That's great. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you learn different fills that maybe you didn't think of before. You know, you learn.
Or like I'll take
the
that
style.
style and put that kind of into my style.
Totally,
and-
man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, there's so many things that I did growing up, like where I took fills from like Travis Barker, like Trey Cool or Dave Grohl. Like I've incorporated all of that in my drumming.
Did you
even
just
today.
start playing with no lessons, or just go for it?
No, I
Or did you
had
take
I got
lessons?
lessons when I was like pretty young. You know, up until maybe like 6th or 7th grade, and then by that point I started like
Developing
learning,
your own
yeah,
thing,
like
yeah.
learning by ear. I remember. Even with the Eyeliners, I was like, oh man, I got to learn every little thing. And sometimes like punk rock recordings are a little hard to like really hear.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, okay, I'm going to listen to like how I learn songs even today. It's like, okay, I'm going to learn like the inch. Like there's like a formula. So I listen to the song and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to chart it out in my own way. So it's like, okay, there's like intro for like 8 and then verse and chorus and whatever. So you format the song. And then I would go back and I'm like, okay, I'm going to learn just this intro. Okay, cool. I got the intro now. Now I'm moving on to the verse.
Yeah.
Okay, now I got the intro and the verse. Now I'm going to do the intro and the verse and the chorus. So it's like you're going back to go forward. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
So like that's how I
Absolutely.
was learning. I don't know what it's like to like learn a new trick or you know things
Well,
like that.
I mean, like even to learn something vocally. 'Cause
Yeah.
I did this series now on my Instagram where I sing songs.
Dude,
riding
I
my bike.
love that. That's
Oh,
so
thanks.
cool, man.
Thanks, dude. And I did that for
Yeah.
challenge my vocals and just to keep my vocals out there. But
And you're doing cardio at the same time.
Yeah, the cardio.
Yeah.
And just to comment on what you're saying is
Yeah.
like challenging myself. And the reason I ask you to do covers is
Yeah.
by me doing vocal covers is changing my style and my thought
Totally.
process and my writing process. Like, oh, like I don't want to write like that, but I'm like, oh, I get it. Oh, and the timing and the way, you know, so it has to be the same with with playing the drums, you're saying
Yeah.
vocally. So you learn
Totally.
you develop a more of a better style for yourself maybe by doing other people's stuff. Not saying I want to be in a cover band.
Sure,
but,
yeah.
You know, but like it
I mean,
helps.
I've done cover gigs. I've done.
I mean, I'm not
jazz
saying I
gigs.
wouldn't. What
Yeah.
if we did Rick Against the Machine?
We
I'm
need-
serious.
we need
Rick
that
Against the
We
Machine.
need that more now than ever.
Yeah, like we do all rage covers, and it's
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's
It's
awesome.
Sick, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's pretty funny.
yeah, but I mean, after that summer though, you know, I was a kid again. I was a kid from Utah.
Yep.
A little sheltered, you know.
Was it used out by then?
They were.
Were you a fan of that band?
So I
mean,
was
being kind of closely to where you're
Yeah.
at?
What was crazy to me about that summer though is like, you know, I was pretty heavily involved in like the Warped Tour, you know, circle, like the punk rock scene in Salt Lake. What's so funny is they were from a town called Provo, Utah.
Yep.
And so it's almost like the way I can describe it is like there was like this like Simpsons, like Springfield, Shelbyville, you know?
Got
Not
it.
like a real rivalry, but like it was, you know, it's like people like, oh, the show's in Provo, I don't want to go there. But
Got
sometimes, but I went to all the shows. But I got to tell you, I was very heavily involved in like my music scene. But before that summer, I had never heard of the Used, never.
Got it.
Like I was going to stuff all the time, you know, and so I met them.
So you never in the Salt Lake area? You
Yeah.
never, yeah.
I never
They just
met
kind of
them.
popped up.
What's really crazy, this is a funny story too, but like I had just heard of them maybe like right before going on Warped Tour. My friend Chris Wilson, I don't know if you know him. He drums for
familiar.
Good Charlotte.
Oh yeah.
For a little bit, but
Yeah.
he also was like in the punk circle.
But
I
didn't
never-
Good Charlotte a lot of times not show their drummer?
Yeah, and I
lot,
think,
right? It
I
was
think
more
that was
about the-
because they were having, you know, they're just going through people.
drummers, yeah, and they wanted to keep just these faces. of
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, but Chris like got in the band for, you know, he was there for a good like 3-4 years, I think, you know.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
So but that's a funny story too. So like I remember anyway, going back to Chris though, Chris was like, "Hey, like come check out this band called they had to add the to the name, but they were just called Used at one point." So I saw them in Provo. There was like, I don't know, like 20 people there, and I saw this guy, the singer, Bert. He was puking on stage. I was like, "Who is this dude?" You
And
know?
then the next time you saw them, they're on Warped Tour.
They're on main stage Warped Tour.
Headlining Warped Tour.
Yeah, I was like, "Whoa!" You know,
That's
like,
an
this is-
overnight.
Yeah, and like you just never heard of people coming from Salt Lake City. You know,
That's why I asked you. Like,
Yeah.
you don't hear much.
No.
And then you got Salt Lake City Punk, the movie.
Right.
Homie did it. Drummer Rancid.
Brandon.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I love him.
He did the
Sorry.
second one.
Sorry.
Second one. Yeah, the
He,
second.
yeah, he did the second one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so crazy though.
Oh, was it Machine Gun Kelly in that one?
I think so. You know,
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't hear a whole lot of punk rock coming out of Salt Lake.
No,
And
but
with all due
Salt Lake,
respect.
dude. And then the other thing that's really crazy is like, you know, like Stefan and Carl from Descendants, they were from Salt Lake City.
Oh, they were?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
So I think like SLC Punk, what I heard is loosely based off of Stefan Egerton.
Oh, is it really?
Mhm.
I never knew
What
that.
I think is also
See,
so,
I'm ignorant though towards like
it's
the
it's all
Utah
good.
punk scene.
I
'cause,
yeah,
you
so
know.
dude, Salt Lake had a crazy good scene. It was just like there were so many things happening back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and I remember one time I was wearing this is like I was like a junior in high school. This is when I was like really getting into like everything, you know. But I was wearing like an all hoodie, and I went to like a math tutor, and this guy was like, "Hey, that's a cool hoodie." I was like, "Oh, thanks." I'm like, "You know this man?" He's like, "Got to tell you something, man. Like Stefan, you know who that is? The guitar player?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, that used to be my roommate." And I was like, "Nah." I was like, "No way." And he was like, "Yeah, next time they play a show, if I see you at the show, like I'll introduce you to him." And sure enough,
He's cool
I've
too.
known Stefan, you know, now like 25 years or something like that.
He's a rad dude.
Yeah, he met me when I was like a little kid.
They're coming up. They're playing the well.
I
That's
know,
no,
dude.
no. That's all. That's all. But the Descendants.
Yeah.
I always put the two together.
They're playing
I
at
don't-
St.
I don't
Rock,
mean
right?
to.
They're doing that whole man.
And they're playing the last NoFX date.
Yeah,
Or
I
what?
wish,
They're playing. Well, NoFX has the 3 dates. They're playing on Saturday.
right.
We're not
Yeah.
trying to date
by
this,
the
but
by the time this
by the
comes
time
out,
this comes out, it'll be already
yeah.
done.
By the
but-
time this comes out, I have to miss it because I'm playing with a band called the Juliana Theory.
Oh.
A thing called Furnace Fest this year.
Oh, Furnace Fest is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so
Oh.
it's gonna be the last one of that. So this will already have happened.
Well,
but-
this will already happened, and NoFX will already be on their reunion tour.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're gonna reunite.
Every band does that shit.
Here's what I want to ask you. Another
I
side tangent.
retire, and then they go run through their money, and then they go, let's get the band back together, and they make millions of dollars.
But here's what. Because I've
It's all
seen some bands.
bullshit.
I've seen some bands who's like Motley Crue and like Slayer and stuff. What I want to know though is like, do we think NoFX is gonna do something similar? Like where it's like, okay,
well, how
they
can
said
they
they're
turn
not
down
gonna
money? I can't say yes
they're
or
not
no.
gonna
but
tour anymore. But are they gonna play like a
every
Riot
band
Fest?
does it, dude. Because listen,
Yeah.
if you make your money playing music, and you make your money selling merch, and that's how you make a living, and that's what you've done your whole life, and then you just stop, and then you go, well, these few million that I have ain't gonna last you. You run through it. What are you gonna do? Now you're like 60 years old looking for a job somewhere.
Those guys have been.
They're gonna get the band back together. They all do it. They all do, and then they make more money because it's a reunion tour. I mean, come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, we can't do that as athletes. I can't say like I'm done riding, and then people go, okay, and they're not wanting you. Like, good. They want your spot. They don't want you to come back.
Sure.
They want your sponsors and shit.
Dude, it's.
They're not like, oh, bring them back. We'll hook them back. No. It's way more cutthroat. You know what I mean? It's a different world.
Oh, I can imagine. It's almost like, well, I mean, with like punk rock and BMXing and skateboarding and all that, it's like a circus. It truly is. You know?
And I'm not talking smack on anybody. Hey,
no, absolutely not.
Because here's what I think.
Make that bag. Yeah.
You're on the road. You've been on the road for 2 years. You're sick of everybody. Sick of your bandmates. Not in a bad way, but you say, I want your space, this thing, right? And you forget like how blessed you are that you're playing like an hour a night on stage, and you got people catering to you and getting your Starbucks for you and all these things you want to get. And then you go home thinking that's what you want. Yeah. Now, I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but I have. And I used to have withdrawals from Warped Tour, since we're talking about this. And by the way, Warped Tour is coming back in 2025. So just anyone out there, make sure you go.
By the time this comes out.
Yeah, by this time it comes out. And so I would have withdrawals. And I'd be like, dang, I built this family and these friends, and now I'm going home, and my lifestyle is going to change. And like anytime I was ever on Warped Tour, I was planning my next gig because I knew this gig was ending. Yeah. You know who taught me that? Spike Jonze. Spike Jonze told me, because we grew up riding and shit. Well, we didn't grow up together, but he was like a main photographer in the early BMX days. And he says, hey, one thing you got to remember is, and this is what he told me.
It ends.
It ends, so you got to plan your next thing. So it's like a balance of like enjoying this right now and knowing this is going to end. And so for me, I would always have Warped Tour withdrawals because I built a bond with these bands, these athletes, and the crew and the catering and all these people.
Yeah, the camaraderie,
and Kevin, And so then I'd be like, oh, I'm going home, and like, what's at home? I'm single, and like I don't, you know what I mean? And I would just feel kind of like, and I'd be calling like,
dude, post-tour depression is very real.
Yeah, I'd be calling my dudes like a week after, how you guys up to? And then it kind of slowly kind of went away. And I think that's what happened with bands. Is like they go, oh, and then a year or two will go by, and it's not necessarily about the money. I don't think. No. I think it's just about what's your passion, what you want to do. You think you want to stop because you're exhausted at the moment, and then you want to come back. Yeah, because that's the artist in you. It can't stay away.
No, totally.
So we're just talking shit. I mean, hey.
No, dude, that summer.
I say be like David Bowie and do it till you fucking fall over.
Check this out.
Or like Johnny Cash.
That summer, though, okay, imagine being like 18 years old. You're out of high school. You go on tour. Like, and going into the tour, too, the girls were like, hey, so we just want to let you know this is going to be like a revolving door, you know, so like, you know, this is, you know, that was it. So I already knew going into it that like this wasn't like a full-time thing. This was just like a very special summer. Yeah. You know, but then they asked me back because there was only like 3 weeks in between like a tour that they were going to go on, and they needed somebody. So I was there, and then that tour was like No Use for a Name and Yellow Card. That was before Yellow Card got like super big, and then after that year it was like, okay, well what do I do now? So I'm like, I'm not at that point I turned 19, so I'm like, I'm 19. I just got to do this thing.
And I want to stay on this tour because it's so fun. I met all these bands.
I want to figure out how to do this stuff. And so I didn't really know what to do. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm still going to shows. I still, you know, kept marching on in Salt Lake. And then I had an opportunity to like move out to LA in like spring of like 2003. And I was like, all right, well, I think I'm going to go to like a music school while I'm like trying to figure out.
Like MI or something?
Yeah, it was actually, you know, it was LA Music Academy. I went for 3 months.
And I'm not trying to shit on anybody.
No, absolutely not.
About people to go to MI.
Dude, I've spoken to MI and the school that I went to and dropped out of.
I just think that some people go there and get a degree and then think like, oh,
I'm going to be a superstar
this
or
is
something.
It's fucking music, man. It's like you have to create something. No one's going to sweep you off your feet.
No, totally.
Do you know what I mean? Like
absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, with that in mind, I moved out to LA. I got a little lucky though. I moved out, and the day I moved out here, there was a band called Fairview that wanted me to try out. And so I did. I did that band for a couple years. What was insanely frustrating about that is I loved that band so much, but we just weren't on the same page. Yeah. And we were chasing after like major label deals. So we were just basically like showcasing the entire time. Yeah. You know, and then that led to a band that I got into called I Am Ghost. You know, like so the managers from Fairview, I kept in touch with them. They're like, we want you to try out for this band. Like, see what you think. And then that's also what kickstarted it all. So like I moved out to LA. I didn't really like know a lot of people, but I thought because of like Warped Tour, you know, from like 2002, I thought I had a
You
little
had
bit
some
of a leg up.
credentials. You
Yeah,
had some credentials.
I had a little bit of a leg up. I had some people I could like contact and hang out with and know. So I didn't like completely go out to LA like,
You had already built up a little bit of a resume,
Sure.
friendships, connections. Yeah, of course.
And
I want to say this real quick
Yeah,
about
yeah.
MI grads and stuff.
Yeah.
In my band, I hire musicians, but
Uh-huh.
I have my band.
Yeah.
But at times I need people to sub in.
Sure.
And one thing I do like about people that maybe say go to MI
Mm-hmm.
is they show up correct, know the songs, they're professional. They
Right.
treat it like it's a job, not like there's no ego in the way, there's nobody
Right.
competing, there's nothing. And in my case, like, because I run and control my band and the image and everything around it,
Yeah.
to where that's beneficial for me, because I tried to do the band route of all of us rah let's get in a van,
Yeah.
and then like it fall off, and this guy leave and that guy leave, and I was like, God, I still want to play music. This is hard.
Uh-huh.
And then you know what I mean? And then
Yeah, it's a fine balance between like doing it with either your friends or making it completely business.
well, and I was
It's
already a
like-
pro athlete on
Yeah.
TV, X Games,
Sure.
hosting TV shows. So
Yeah.
people looked at me at like, what can they get? And I was like, I just want to rock and write good songs.
Yeah.
So for me, I had to maneuver my way through,
Mhm.
and that's kind of how I do it. So I'm not shitting on it. I had to
No,
say this,
dude.
shit on anyone that your path you want to take. I'm just saying you still have to be creative and
Right.
create. So anyways, back to you. So you got your
Yeah.
connections, you got your resume. You're out here. You're in LA. You're an I Am Ghost. How long did that last?
That was like a good 3 years,
Got it.
3-ish years,
Yeah.
But like the thing that people don't understand about music sometimes is that everything's like circumstantial.
Yeah.
So like maybe somebody leaves the band, or like band members change, or you're not on the same page as somebody, or people's priorities change, or
Someone has a kid, or they,
dude, yeah, all the things.
could be anything.
Yeah.
Could be anything. Yeah.
There's this really good book that there's a questionnaire. It's called The Big Gig, and it's written by this drummer named Zorro. And if you go and
Big
check
Gig.
The Big Gig, yeah. And so if you check it out, it's like it's a little like questionnaire online, but basically if you answer no to any of the questions, then the Big Gig isn't for you. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's almost like a test.
Are you willing to be away? Are you
Correct.
Are you
It's
willing
like,
to,
do you have transportation? Can you deal with difficult personalities? Can you live on a budget? Can you, and it's like, are you good at taking direction? Are you okay with missing like birthdays and funerals and marriages and
yeah.
things like that? And so like if it's real, dude, it's really cutthroat, man.
It is absolutely, but people don't know that because they just want to put it in, turn it up, and rock out.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
So
what
it's
it
like
is.
when you're playing a show to like thousands of people, like the people that are watching you play, they're not taking any of that into account. They just want to be entertained for that half hour, like
That's
hour
it.
and a half.
That's it.
You
Yeah.
know?
Then
Like,
when I
are you good at taking constructive criticism? It's like are you okay with people telling you how to dress? Or
So it's a questionnaire online.
yeah,
And it's
Yep.
called The Big Gig.
It's called The Big Gig.
Check
yeah.
out if you're looking to be in a band, you need to check out The Big Gig.
Totally. Yeah.
Because you better answer yes to all that shit.
Dude, it's crazy though, And so like over the years, I mean, I've been in so many different bands, like over the
What was
years.
another one that you were in for a while? It's, what's it called? It's kind of a long title. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's
I
it called?
I was in that. Yeah, IDK How. Yeah.
Okay, but what's it stand for?
It stood for I don't know how, but they found me.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were in that band for a while.
Yeah, I was in that band for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And things just things came to a head. That's
So
all.
right now we need to talk about the band you're in now,
Yeah, I'm in a band called Mercy Music.
and you need to follow them. And you guys are killing it. You are. You're playing a lot of shows.
Yeah.
You guys are like already doing tours. You're already
Yep.
like, you're like, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, dude. I got so blessed meeting these guys. I've actually again with music, I met these dudes originally in 2008.
So they were
So-
already a band,
They were in a different band at the time.
but they were all homies in a different band.
Right.
Okay.
So there was this producer that I'd worked with on 4 albums. His name was Elvis Basquet.
Okay.
And Elvis worked with this band.
I know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elvis worked with this band called Lydia Vance.
Mhm.
And so they got like a small deal with like Atlantic. It was like a production deal kind of a thing, and it didn't pan out. They got shelved, whatever. So like I'd been keeping my eye on these guys for like a long time, and then like probably within the last like year or two, like I got reintroduced to them. Like I was like, oh, they're still playing. Like they have this band Mercy Music, and I was checking them out. I'm like, these guys are like fucking really good. And I went to a couple of their shows. And then I learned that they needed a drummer, and so I reached out. I was like, "Hey, I heard you guys are looking. Like, could I try out?" And then it was almost immediate. They were like, "You don't need to try out. You're the guy." So
And so you have to do that though, as being like,
Yeah.
not necessarily like a hired. I don't want to say you're a hired gun, But joining
not with Mercy Music, I'm not.
No, not with Mercy Music.
I would
but maybe
say-
maybe in the past or other bands.
I would say 90% of my career has been like as a hired drummer.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, and I know you're not with Mercy Music, but being like that, you keep your eyes and ears open to a lot of what's going on.
Sure.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's kind of
absolutely.
like if you're looking.
I mean,
at
they're kind of in a different. They're kind of so like being a drummer. If you want to have like a long, not I don't even want to say stable. If you want to have like a long career, you should be open to learning as many different types of genres as you can, whether it's like your favorite or if it's not. The more tools you have in your arsenal, the better off you are. You can play
absolutely.
So I was just gonna say, playing with a band like Mercy Music, it kind of like for my playing, it kind of showcases like everything that I love. I don't know, I've always loved, is like being in punk rock, but then like, I'm throwing in like a lot of little tricks that like maybe I couldn't in like other bands. Some bands have to do a lot of like intricate things. Some bands are just like, nope, we just want the 2 and the 4. We want it like really simple.
Yeah.
And you just have to like shape yourself to be in the position that you've got asked to be.
You ever been in a band where you're like, dang, I wish it would have been, this shit's boring.
What's that?
You ever been in a band where you join and you're like, this shit's boring to play?
I mean, I would make it not.
I'm just
boring.
being honest.
No, absolutely.
Like,
sure.
you want me to? Okay, I'm
Dude,
not in the forefront. I'm hired. I get it, but this beat sucks. Why am I here?
I mean, yeah, sure, you could say that.
I mean, because I know from experience, I've agreed to do shows before, and I was like, dude, why did I do this?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Even comedy, dude.
The movie Spinal Tap is such a great representation of like what it can actually be like.
Yeah.
Out there.
Yeah.
So.
But you could spontaneously combust.
Sure.
Don't all the drummers do that in the movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
You might blow up right now.
You
get this on video if he does.
It's another great movie of like how music is, or Get Him to the Greek. That's another awesome movie.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Whiplash. It's another really, I would say that movie is loosely based on me.
What, Whiplash?
Yeah.
What, for real?
Oh yeah, not like for real, but like
I was gonna say you better get your cut.
I had a band teacher that was he was so hard on me, and now he's no longer with us. God bless his soul.
Oh, the band teacher isn't?
Yeah, he's not. But man, he was.
But you guys didn't get along.
No, we did not get along.
Well,
I got along with the son.
You know what I
like
mean?
his son and I are still friends, but like he was just like really on me, But I look back on it, and I'm like, I'm really glad that things went down the way it did,
So you mean he was hard on you about your skill?
Oh yeah.
You?
I felt like he had it out for me, But then when I realized, I was like, no, he was just trying to push me to what he thought my full potential could be, And I'm really thankful for that. When I'm like, taking off the goggles, and I'm like, I've been doing a lot of like self-reflecting, It's like,
got it.
It's I'm not gonna bring it too much into the show, but I stopped drinking like almost 4 years ago.
That's good.
And so
Yeah.
I try to look at like how did I insert myself into this situation? Like, what's my role behind this?
Yeah.
And so I've been doing a lot of like self-reflecting, and it's really good. And it's really healthy.
Nothing wrong with that, dude. Better in your life.
It's like accountability. It's like, oh, like how did I contribute to this toxicity, or how did like what's my role? And and it could be anything from like bands to relationships. Yeah. And so it's again being a drummer and being a hired guy and all that stuff. It takes a special kind of person to fill in those shoes,
And you have to be able to like,
yeah.
Well, you have to walk into like a group of guys that are already friends,
Right.
And be like, okay, now I'm part of your band. I'm
Right.
your friend, and you're kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
you are, but we're still kind of getting to know people's personalities.
Yeah, I would say
gotta
out of all the musicians, going back to Mercy Music real quick.
No, we want to talk more about the Mercy Music because that's what you're
Out of all
doing.
the bands that I've been in, man, these guys give me a run for my money for sure. Like they are the most talented, the most level-headed. Just yeah, I feel like I'm the weak. I finally feel like I'm the weakest link in a band, and I was just like, man, this is what I need. I need to be challenged like this, So I mean, like that's my band. But then I also go do things like Juliana Theory. And there's a couple things I have.
Having the freedom to do that's how you should be.
Yeah.
Because so many people cross over nowadays. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like we grew up, it was like that's Van Halen and that's Dave's Van Halen. You know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And like what's another band like I don't know. Like, what's another band that would be from back then that you knew all that? That's the Ramones. That stays the Ramones. That's
Sure.
the Clash. That stays the Clash.
Misfits.
So now it's like
yeah.
people are crossing over and hey, we need you for this tour. Okay, I'll come do that tour.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's like that guy ain't coming back or you know what I mean. I know.
Yeah. But also being a drummer, like you're not really, I think I've been fortunate and lucky, but because it takes a stroke of luck to do this stuff. But like, you don't really hear about like, oh man, like that drummer. Like, there's not a lot of drummers out there that are getting praise. You know what I mean? It's mostly front people.
Yeah.
So I mean,
unless you're like Tommy Lee or Travis Barker.
Exactly. Again,
or Phil Collins.
or Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Stuart Copeland.
Yeah, there you go.
But
Josh Freese.
Yeah, Josh, dude.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, like,
who are your favorite top 5 drummers?
Okay, top 5. It changes all the time.
I know.
But,
and if he loses friends right now, he loses friends. We're not here to make friends, okay? You understand?
We're here to tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Grohl, obviously. I know he's more of a guitar player now, but like,
but still,
So Dave Grohl, Travis Barker,
Uh-huh.
Trey Cool.
Yeah.
I would also have to say, Ringo Starr, obviously,
Yeah.
and Derek Grant. Those are like my. If you had to really narrow it down to my top 5.
So Phil Collins would be 6.
Phil Collins would be, as people evolve, man.
I'm joking, bro.
I know. But Phil Collins is great too.
No, I know. I'm just playing around. That's cool. That's a cool top 5. That's a solid top 5.
What's really crazy too? Nobody talks about this. Do you know the band Boston? Have you heard of them?
Of course.
Okay.
See, I was born in '69, bro. So I know all
great.
that shit,
So so what I found out, me being in Mercy Music, after 4 months of being in the band at this point, I found out that my guitar, because I'm like, man, my guitar player, he's gotta have it from somewhere. Like somebody in his family.
Is he related to that?
Yeah, he's related to Tom Scholz.
Is his son or something?
It's his uncle.
Oh well, there you go.
But it's still crazy to think like, man, like how does Brendan play guitar like so great? And like,
what was the Boston hit?
More Than a Feeling.
Yeah, I used to roller skate to that shit.
Really?
The bandana. More than a feeling.
It's nuts though, because I mean, like, well, that guy I learned more about Tom, but he's just like this like crazy like MIT like engineer. Like, I think he came up with like a version of like the wah-wah pedal,
Oh, wow.
which is really cool too.
Let me ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
Mercy Music.
Yeah.
You guys are playing a lot.
Yeah.
You got a lot of followers on Instagram already, and you got a following. So that's all positive. And you got a tour. You got a tour coming up? Or did you already tour?
We just finished the tour, but we have like some one-off shows coming up.
Got it. Okay.
We're November 1st. We're playing in Tucson with Authority Zero and the Mad Caddies.
Oh, cool bands. Yeah.
And then we're doing like a there's like this like local show that's happening in Salt Lake City that we got asked to be a part of, which I think is really cool. And we're going to be playing at a place called the Beehive on November 5th. And then we're writing a new record, and it's really cool being in this band because I can also go play for other bands as well, So
yeah. I mean, and that's so you keep staying busy because
right.
that's what
I have things, and I wish I could talk about it on the air. But I have a couple projects brewing for next year, which is really, really cool.
Awesome.
One of them is a solo artist, and the other one is a band, and they're both.
Wait, a solo artist you'll work with and a band you're gonna work with.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So far, anything can change. Anything can happen.
Well, it's like your shirt right there, Rancid. They all have separate bands.
Yeah, all of them do.
All of them do.
By the time this comes out, too, I'm going to be...
They all have, like, their side gigs, their side, Matt, what does Matt Freeman have?
I don't know what his band is.
Charger.
Is that it?
I think that's what it's
Okay.
called. And then Lars, and then...
Tim Timebomb and Friends.
Yeah.
He's got that one.
Well, Tim writes for so many people, too. Wrote for Pink and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So my point is that music has just changed, like we said earlier. When I was a kid, it was like that was that, and it stayed that. And now it's just so crossing.
It's everything.
Everything.
Yeah, even like Green Day have like
did you see them recently?
I did. I went to the show. It was so
at
incredible.
SoFi?
Yeah.
So did I.
Really?
Yeah, I was with my son.
Oh man, what a great show that was! I thought Rancid played for Too Short just because I love Rancid.
I do too.
But no, that
and
show
then
was...
Smashing Pumpkins came on. And I was like, what? I know they have hits. I know people like them. I get it. I like the Rat in the Cage thing. I get it. I'm still rage, a rat in the cage. I get it. I get all of it. But they should have played before Rancid.
I mean...
But I know Smashing Pumpkins had a shitload of radio hits.
I get what you're saying.
They play, there's no, I go, why do they play? Oh, there's another one on the radio. They had a lot of radio hits.
Yeah.
But for me, being
all they did was get me hyped for Green Day. That's what that did.
Yeah,
they did it. I was like, man.
Maybe they divided them up because Rancid and Green Day, they're kind of
yeah.
They needed to have something. They had to bring it down to bring it back up.
Here's what I learned.
That's why I'm Rat in the Cage came out.
Here's what I learned from touring.
I mean?
This is what I learned from touring. No, I get it. Here's what I learned from touring. So like let's put Green Day as the example, as the headliner.
Yeah.
What I learned is to build a package.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like you're the headliner. It's like, okay, who do we bring out for direct support? Right? So they're all talking. It's like, who do we bring out? Okay, we need to bring out a band that sells tickets and can do business. Then the second band, Then the band below them, so like a Rancid, we want to bring out a band that can sell a little bit of tickets, but they're also our friends, right? And then the opening spot, like the one or whatever, is usually like a favor or
the Lindas.
yeah, the Lindas, yeah.
Because they're new and they're
They
all girl
need,
band
they
and
need a
killing
favor.
it.
They need a favor. There's some politics involved. Maybe it's a buy on. I don't think they bought on, but I'm just saying like or they're doing something cool in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you want to help out friends and
Sick.
you know there's some relationships there, and I mean that's how I think most tour packages
They are, and you know what?
go.
And I'm going to shift this, and we're going to keep the same thought.
Yeah.
You're going to be first off, follow Mercy Music and listen to them, okay? 'Cause we're not done with this interview, but I'm just telling you right now, okay? All right. Second, you're going to be a tour guide at the Punk Rock Museum.
That's right.
And October 20th.
October 20th.
And you got to come out, and he's going to be your tour guide. Okay?
That's right. So you want to get tickets.
There's a photo.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say real quick.
Yep.
Since we're talking about Rancid and Green Day.
Yeah.
There's a big photo. I'm gonna give a little bit away right now.
Go
There's
for
a
it.
big photo, the size of bigger than my ugly mug right here, of on the whole wall in the museum of Operation Ivy
Yeah.
playing, and Billy with the mullet
Yep.
before he started Green Day looking at Tim.
Yep.
So they've been friends for a long time.
Oh yeah. So
And they
it's
have the
super
same
cool.
last name. I always
Yeah.
thought they
No
were
relation.
brothers.
Yeah.
No relation. Yeah.
That's yeah.
So my
can't wait.
point
Yeah.
is that they know where they're at. They know their level of
Right.
music. They know their level of what they are. And they probably positioned that to where they were a little bit apart on tour because
I mean, dude,
You know what I mean?
I'm just so honored to just have been asked to do it. You know?
Yeah.
Because there's so many like Billy
Oh, the
Gibbons from like
museum, yeah.
ZZ Top is a freaking a presenter.
I've done the tour.
Yeah.
I've been a tour guide.
How was it?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It wasn't nerve wracking or what? Like,
No,
did you
and
feel like
you
you
know-
were on the spot or?
No, and there's a lot. I'm not going to say anything that's in there
Yeah,
besides
yeah,
that
yeah.
photo. But I will say there's a lot of cool stuff in the museum. It's run by really cool people. Fat Mike, you
Yep.
know, Fletcher from Pennywise is part of it. I mean, there's so many people involved in the
Oh yeah.
museum.
Big time.
And they've got so much cool stuff that even I was like, whoa, this is cool. And so when I did my tour guides, I talk a lot too, but I have a lot of stories, and you have a lot of stories for Warped Tour, which is going to help you with that.
Oh yeah. Big time.
And so yeah, there's just like a lot of really cool stuff there. So I'm stoked for you. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I
And
guess
you got to come out. He's your tour guide, so you need to come on. Come on.
I was gonna say I've already sold a third of the tickets, so make sure you get them before
Yeah.
they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think. Well, what do they have? I think, is it 30?
Yeah, it's 30 tickets.
30
so,
tickets. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, it goes quick. It goes
I'm
real
at a
quick.
disadvantage because I'm not like a
But
I'm a drummer. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but to
'Cause,
sell,
like,
well, you doing one day?
yeah.
Yeah, but to sell half already.
Yeah, one day.
So I've already sold 15 tickets. It's not bad. And people, there's walk-ins too, bro. You know, and
I
they have-
sold a third, so I sold 10. But yeah.
Oh well, 10,
That's
10
all right.
but that's
Yeah,
but that's still good. Trust me, that's still
All right.
good.
I mean, dude, I'm up against the. And by the way, there's a lot of cool people on my day as well. There's like Kevin Lyman's like a tour guide.
Oh, Kevin's gonna be that day
yeah,
too.
Tom from MxPx, Charlie from Goldfinger.
All in the same day.
On the same day, yeah.
Oh wow.
Charlie and I are carpooling to Vegas together, so that'll be fun. You know?
Yeah. Charlie's cool.
I love Charlie.
So is Kevin. Kevin Lyman's a
Oh yeah,
genius.
he's the best. It's all because of Kevin, man.
Yeah.
At least for me,
Well, a
doing
lot
10 of them.
for me too. I mean, look, dude, I did 15 Warped Tours, and
Got me beat.
and I played. My band played on 2 of them, and I rode on all of them. And so, like, yeah, you know,
15 every summer.
yeah.
There are summers where I did like maybe like 3 days or like a month or 2 weeks or whatever.
Some summers I did. Okay, yeah. What I did is this. I did 2000. Wait, hold on. The first. 96,
Yeah, you said 97,
98,
yeah.
99, 2000. So like 8 years or something.
Okay.
It was like we
Just
had
taking years off?
No, we had a
The
bus.
whole thing. Okay.
And then after that went away and the ramp went away. I went out for Monster because I rode for Monster.
Yep.
And rode the mini ramp. So I could keep. That's how much I love the tour. I was still trying to find a way.
Yeah.
And like you, use your connections, people you know, layer things you've layered. Just keep going.
all of it's like circumstance too, man. You
Yeah.
know? But
Yeah.
it was definitely a time, and yeah, we all heard Warped Tour's coming back, or what capacity we don't know.
I heard it's.
We
yeah,
might know by the time it gets announced, but you know,
Yeah.
it'd be rad if it was like a full-fledged.
I know, and I'm
don't
not
think-
going to say that.
Yeah, I know too, but
I'm gonna tell. Oh, you already know. Yeah, so we're not telling you. You're gonna have to wait. 'Cause I'm not gonna be that guy that's like, we heard that.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's totally cool. So you got the museum.
Got the museum.
You got Mercy Music.
Got Mercy
You got some
Music.
other gigs coming up.
I wish I could talk about it because it is just so rad.
Is it okay? Let me ask you this:
I can tell you off air for sure.
Is it a bigger thing, meaning like a bigger band that's going to catapult you in another direction?
For me, yes.
Yeah, got it.
You know,
So you're going to go play drums for Beyonce or something?
absolutely. No,
Yeah.
Beyonce is going to do the Warped Tour.
I'm doing
everybody.
the tambourine. I got a tambourine job for Beyonce. It's sick, bro. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah, I can't give too much. I feel like if I like say any more, I'm just gonna give it away.
You're not going to say anything. What are you going to say
Yeah.
right now? Because we're going to come. It's going to come to an end.
It's
right
gonna
now.
it's gonna come to an
Yeah.
end. Wow,
Yeah.
that went by really quick.
How many minutes we on this?
55.
Perfect.
We
See?
heard it.
I know my time.
That's right.
So listen, before we
Yeah.
leave,
Mhm.
let everybody know your Instagram for you personally.
Yeah,
Is
it's at Ryan Seaman.
okay.
So
And then
just
the
my
band?
name. At Mercy Music.
And there's anything else you want to promote? Anything, because that's what I'm
Oh,
all about
man.
promoting. Look at me. I'm a freaking billboard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Look at- look at me,
you
look
are
at me.
you are a billboard. Yeah, I mean for
We
now,
started this though, dude. We started. Listen to me. I always say, listen to me, like I'm
Let's go.
Listen to me, military. Listen to me. I don't even know why I'm saying that, but listen to me.
You're
Shut up.
You're getting people pumped up.
If somebody tells me, listen to me, the first thing I say
Yeah.
is like, dude, I listen to you. You're an idiot. Okay, so I won't say that anymore. But listen to me. We started the sponsorship thing. Putting
Yeah.
the resumes together,
Yeah,
typing them on a typewriter,
Mhm.
calling up companies, sending them in. So I'm all about promoting.
totally.
That's my whole
You need
life
to.
is that. Promoting
Yeah.
what you love to do, what you love to do, what you like to do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So promote.
Okay, I gotta think now. Now I'm on the spot. So yeah, we got the museum. We got Mercy Music. We're making a new record right now, so we might be a little silent until like spring. You know, next year got a couple cool things that are getting worked out right now.
And then you're gonna go drum for Phil Collins. It's gonna be sick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will
Is
say
he a
this though.
side drummer? He could go do 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 do, and you could do the part where it goes do do
Yeah, that's right. I could be that guy, just off to the side. That's right.
do do.
Yeah, but these two are bigger than things I've done in the past. So I'm excited.
I hear you, dude.
You know, might even
Yeah.
be jamming with some people that I've jammed with in the past as well. But
Wow, you're gonna be with Kid Rock or something.
I'm gonna tell you as soon as this ends. As
I
soon
know.
as it goes cut, like that.
I know. So
Yeah.
much. Well, listen, man. Thanks a lot for watching. Follow Ryan and everything that he's doing. All right, and subscribe to the show. Tell your friends. Good vibe, good conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Much love. Everybody keep watching and stay rad. Peace out.